This video is going to be very blunt and honest with many people that are looking to join the military and get a college education while they were in. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to Nikki MGTV for another video. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below if you have questions. But as always, let's go right into the topic. Actually, I forgot to say the one thing where I asked you to like, comment, subscribe. Again, I was looking at the analytics. There's some videos where like 75% of the people that are watching the video are not even subscribed. Just click the button, man. I'm providing some good insight here. All right, well, watch this video and I promise you I will. Now, I have a lot of people that write me and they're like, Nikki, I'm thinking about joining the military. Once I do that, I'm going to be enlisted. I'm going to have all this opportunity. I'm then going to get my degree while I'm in. Man, Johnny, that sounds like a really good idea. And I swear it is a good idea. I'm telling you from experience, getting the degree matters. Now, and I give that advice to military people specifically because you have experience, which many people that go to college do not have. So if you get experience, then get a degree in something that's maybe relevant to what you were doing in the military like I am, you probably can find some kind of employment that's pretty decent. Again, that's pairing my experience with my degree. It can be very difficult if you're trying to divert totally from what you've got in the military, but it's possible. Obviously, being a veteran, other things that can happen can make you a preference. But I want to dive into the reality of you actually going to college while you are in the military. So this is under the assumption that you are only using tuition assistance in the military. Obviously, I do advocate for other usage, such as using your financial aid that you can apply for every year, and also looking at the opportunity tax credit, which for some reason, no one actually uses besides me. And I will be honest with you, there are scholarships that you can look at, but obviously these other things like financial aid will take a little bit of time to apply, not much, but you definitely should. January's coming up. But what many pitfalls happen in the military are there are people that only use tuition assistance. Now, I understand this is free college money. I totally get it. But let's talk about the true breakdown of how long it's going to take to get your degree, because a lot of people write me and they're like, Nikki, why did it take you almost 10 years to finish your degree? And there's a lot more to that. So let's first look at the situation with tuition assistance. You are only allowed to have 3 classes. That's 12 credits that we're assuming. 3 classes. Most classes are about 4 credits. Some of your very entry level will be 3, but let's just say it is 3 classes a year because most of them are going to be 4 credits. So you have that. Now, most degrees require about 40 classes. That's what I've seen on average from my research. So if you are averaging 3 classes per year, that is a 13.3 year wait time to finally get your degree. But we also have to consider that there is a minimum 2-year wait time in order to even apply for tuition assistance. So you are looking at 15.3 years waiting to go. Oh, but let's also tack this on that you now have to also consider, what about deployment? Okay, there's other factors as well that may get in the way, that school may not be approved for you because of that. So again, these are things that are out there that are available to you, and I'm not being negative when I say this. I'm just trying to show you guys real barriers, because say, for example, you have a small underway coming up, or say something happens where you are going to be inspected or a big inspection's coming up. School may not be one of the things that they're going to allow you to do because of that. So remember, you are part of the military. That is your primary responsibility before anything else you do. So as much as it's awesome for school, you see how this time can very easily add up. Now, a lot of the officer programs people want to go into that are non-medical, line officer, those are going to be fine with a bachelor's degree if you get something relevant. For example, if you want to be a supply corps officer, you get a business degree or something like that and apply it to wherever you want to go to. Now, I also want to say, looking at if you want to do something medical as far as master's degrees, like what I'm doing, most master's degrees are about 12 to 15 courses. And if you add that on there, that's 4 to 5 years on top of that. And again, you got to consider deployments and everything else that comes into play. This video is to break down some of the very basic misunderstood conceptions of how much time you're actually going to have in the military to complete school. And it's just because how intense the work can be. I think many people think that when you join the military, you just walk around wearing this uniform, and that's cool, but there's a lot of requirements as far as other qualifications that are specific to the military. So, for example, there are some commands where the warfare device of your ship, the surface warfare or air warfare or whatever, they may say, listen, you need to get that first. So whatever you do, your Navy stuff will come first. So I'm not trying to bash them for that. I'm just trying to say that I want you guys to join with the correct understanding of what your priorities are going to have to be and what they will be. Also, I want to add to this is variable based on where you are stationed at. So, for example, me as wanting to do a medical type of commissioning program, there are some of the things I needed to do, which included sciences with labs. Okay, look at chemistry or anatomy and physiology. You do not have those resources typically overseas. I'm in Japan and I was also in Spain. We had no science classes and you cannot take these online, which created other barriers for me to actually compete or put in my package, which is why I ended up going through the military school I did to become an independent duty corpsman. And you have to consider also, if you want some other program that's maybe math or science based, some of these have year requirements, meaning that you will have to have these classes completed within a certain amount of time, whether it be 5 years, 10 years. I used to want to be a pharmacist, and a lot of these classes required specific timelines. And also for one of the medical programs for the Navy, it required a timeline of within 10 years. So there's a lot of variables in trying to fit this in, also where you are stationed at. So realize some of this will be in your favor, some of it will not be in your favor. Now, some of you are going to ask me, how did I get my bachelor's degree? How did I get my master's degree? Now, let me explain my theory about this because a lot of people do not agree with this. Me joining the military was for me. That was what I wanted it to be, and I wanted to join for school. Now, looking at my opportunity to advance and become an officer was my primary goal. I realized off the math of looking at this that I needed to complete classes at a faster rate. That is when I started looking at using my GI Bill because of the fact that I realized I needed my degree faster to commission sooner, which would allow me to do more for my career and enhancement. Also, my personal goals of just wanting to be as best as I could be a sailor in the Navy. I personally see myself doing more as an officer, and that's where my goals align with personally. And if I make chief in that time, I've always said I would be honored. My grandfather was a chief. There's nothing wrong with going enlisted route if that's okay with you. But my goals for the most part have been aiming towards this because I believe you reach where you are aiming at. And so that's what I'm going for. So breaking down why I use my GI Bill. One, I joined the military and to get school for myself. I don't have any kids yet. So for me, I was like, well, I'd rather dictate how my kids go to school. I found a way. I'm sure I will support my kids one way or another to get through school. I do know it's expensive, but you know what? Now that I'm a little smarter than what I believe people mentored me in my high school years, I do think that school is more affordable than I thought, and I could figure things out because I've definitely done things probably not the best way because there are people that I know personally that did scholarships with the government, and they're now engineers and they're making more money than I am, and they only had to obligate 2 years where I did 5 years for the military. So it's how you skin the cat. Secondly was I did not want to wait that long to apply for commissioning because you are against a time clock because you are wanting to get it before the cutoff age. Obviously, I joined young at 18, but still, that's something I wanted to look at. If you're able to commission earlier as an enlisted person, you are able to do 10 years as an officer, then retire at your 20. So right now, I'm at 10, about to be 11 in 2 weeks, but I will now, if say I got commissioned this year, I would have to wait until my 21st year, 10 years to actually retire. This is long-term goals that I'm looking at, and long-term in the fact of the military will end at some point, and so you have to plan out accordingly. The sooner you can collect your pension from the military and then move on to another career and start that 20, however many years you want to do there, and get a second pension. This is highly debatable based on when you want to retire and how much percentage you want from your retirement. For someone that does 20 years under the old system, not the new one under what many of you guys are going to be on, it is 20 years equals 50% of your base pay that you will receive the rest of your life per month. Now, as you move up, it's 2.5% for each year addition that you serve. And then this goes up until 75% at 30 years. Very rarely do people say after 30 years, but that's a whole nother topic. Also, I wanted to say that the whole idea of getting your GI Bill is so that you could go to school. A lot of people say wait until you get out of the military to use the GI Bill because you get housing allowance for 36 months while you are using it, which gives you E5 housing allowance. Now, if you look at your increase in pay, if you have a bachelor's or master's degree like I will, even if I got out as enlisted, you would see that that margin would be made up plus more if I was hired with my current degree that I'm going to have as a master's, meaning that would surpass whatever benefit that I would receive. Also, many people do not understand the post 9/11 GI Bill only pays you while you are actively in school. So if you go on a summer break, Christmas break, you are not paid for any of that time. Also, if I retire at the age of 38, 39, think about this. I'm going to probably have kids. I'm going to have other responsibilities where I most likely will not want to be going to school during that age. Not saying it's old, it's just you have to think smartly about how effective you can utilize your time. And I would like to point out, if you do any research, your highest earning years should be between about the ages of 40 and 55, 60, okay? Because you should be at the top tier of where you're at. And as military, it is interesting because you are looking for positions that are not entry level anymore, and it will be something you have to navigate as far as being retired military and trying to translate your skills to enter a market at a mid to high level job and translate those skills that you earned while you were in the military. So I hope that this kind of helped break down my mindset as far as joining the military for education, because honestly, I wish someone told me this and understood this before I even joined. It wouldn't change whether I joined or not. It's just a realistic expectation for you guys. So, but as always, guys, if you guys do have questions, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.